Darkcast Network. Welcome to the dark side of podcasting.
How do you think the world will end? Alien invasion? Nuclear disaster? Another, more deadly pandemic? I'm Jackie Moranti, and I'm the host of Cause of Death, 100 Seconds to Midnight. I talk about the things that could obliterate mankind. I call it pre-apocalyptic nonfiction. The doomsday clock was set at 100 seconds to midnight from January of 2020 to January of 2023. On January 24th, 2023, the Board of Atomic Scientists moved the hands of the clock even closer to midnight. Now, it's set at 90 seconds to midnight, the closest it's ever been. From nuclear disaster to environmental threats to food and water crises, find out how mankind is destroying itself 1 second at a time. If you haven't listened to my podcast, you should.
Devil is on his way. Devil is on his way, motherfucker. The devil gonna make you pay. Fall to your knees. Devil is on his way. Fall to your knees. Devil gonna make you pay. Fall to your knees. Devil is on his way. Motherfucker, he's on his...
Hey y'all, welcome back to Mountain Murders.
I'm Heather.
And I'm Dylan.
When you do the jazz hands,
Yeah.
Our listeners can't actually, they don't get a visual, Dylan. They miss out on the jazz hands.
But they can feel it.
They can feel it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. They feel it through the listening devices.
They feel it through me.
Their AirPods are vibrating right now.
Yeah.
The jazz hands.
That's right.
Dylan, how are you?
I am doing great.
Terrific.
Great.
You're
Heather,
like the Frosted Flakes tiger?
you always ask me how I am. How are you?
Hibernating.
Oh my
Now
gosh.
that it gets dark at like 4:30 in the afternoon, I've been hibernating.
Yeah.
All I want to do is sleep.
So apparently the sun went out about a week ago and there's no more sun ever.
Land of the midnight sun, yes.
And it's been cold and dreary and dare I say damp.
It's
Right.
done nothing but like be gloomy and rain for what feels like weeks now.
Yeah, and it's been
I ain't seen the sunshine in 3 damn years. You know what I'm saying?
I'll put your picture away.
You know, okay, we go to a lot of karaoke bars. You're going to hear that song.
Yeah.
No matter where you go for karaoke, someone's going to sing that and Carrie Underwood's Before He Cheats.
Right. Which really, the Before He Cheats really gets the ladies in the crowd stirred up.
It does.
And, you know, you'll see. And have you ever looked, if you'll look around closely?
But the picture away really gets the guys like sad. Like you can see the men who are kind of like longing for a former flame.
Right.
They start almost like crying into their beer.
You can see, if you'll look around when someone does Before He Cheats, you can see the people who's recently had an issue. You can pick those couples out, right? Because a lot of people are just kind of yucking it up, you know.
She's staring
Singing-
him down,
yeah,
giving
she's-
him the stank
Or
eye.
he might be staring her down.
And that's usually her staring. him
That's
down,
right.
But anyway.
You
All
know-
right. Yeah. So I've been hibernating. It's cold. I have kind of been battling like some weird funk. I don't even know if I'm sick or not sick. Like maybe this is just my life now. All I want to do is be in cozy clothes
Yeah.
under a pile of blankets in the house.
And this weather makes me feel snacky, right? I want to get the good snacks.
I just want to eat soup and bread.
You know, we've been trying to do our fitness journey. We do a decent job at it. And you know, I miss snack runs. You know, when you go out and you drop about $30 on just the most ridiculous candies and chips and
Andy Caps hot fries.
yeah, sodies and whatever.
Sody.
Whatever you might see at the
Are you like 80 years old? A sody.
I'm gonna get me a soda.
I'm gonna get me a sody and some snuff.
All right, so here we are. And I think you have some news.
Thank you for stating the obvious. Here we are.
You have some news to tell our listeners, right?
No matter where you go, Dylan, there you are. Yes, I want to give a big shout out to our newest patron, Carrie. She is supporting today's episode. Thank you so much, Carrie.
Yeah. I don't,
Dylan's Zoo Radio channel.
I don't even
Full
need.
effect.
I'm getting a soundboard. I swear.
He's going to get a soundboard for Christmas, guys.
Thank you so much, Carrie, for supporting today's episode, and we hope you enjoy all the ad-free and extra content over on the Patreons.
Heading into the holiday season, Dylan, our theme for December has been cold nights, cold cases. Last week, we discussed the Caldwell Fields murders.
Man.
A lot of folks reached out that live in the area, remember it, like it's a case they say that still is very haunting for that community.
Yeah.
And especially, having no closure for that young couple. We have a doozy of a case today, Dylan.
Yeah, I thought about, after we did that story, how much happened kind of in a row to that area in the state of Virginia. They could not catch a break.
Lot of tragedy.
Yeah.
All right, Dylan, are you ready for today's case? Like I said, it is a bit of a doozy, but, there's always, seems like there's a silver lining in some of these tragedies. And there's definitely a silver lining in this case.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I am.
On May 17th of 1968, a well digger reported for work early along U.S. Route 25 near Georgetown, Kentucky. Wilbur Riddle had heard from his supervisor that the project they were working on was going to get a bit of a later start, and he gets there early, so he's got a little time to spend walking around, maybe surveying the area.
That sucks.
Does it?
I hate waiting. I would rather get to work and go straight into it and be busy all day than to have to wait.
Well, Wilbur Riddle decided he was going to get out. He was going to survey the area, maybe do a little walking around. He watched some other maintenance crews that were repairing telephone lines. He noticed a piece of green tarp secured with a rope covered in dirt, kind of sticking up out of the ground, I guess you could say, while he's walking around.
That seems kind of weird.
Yeah, well, curiosity kicked in, and he prodded it with his foot. That's when the undeniable and vile scent of decomposition hit him.
Oh, God.
At the same time, the tarp rolled down a 30-foot embankment, and when it stopped at the bottom, Riddle realized it was a body wrapped inside this tarp. There was a body.
This would totally freak me out.
Not wasting time, Riddle located the nearest payphone at a gas station, and he proceeded to report a possible dead body to law enforcement. Now, when the police arrive, they confirm Riddle's suspicions. Inside the partially buried tarp, or, what had been partially buried, they found a badly decomposing nude body of a female. A peculiar detail which left investigators stumped was the fact that she was totally naked except for a baby's birth cloth hanging over her shoulder.
Oh, that's creepy, right?
It's very creepy.
Damn.
The medical examiner's report suggested the woman was between 16 to 19 years old. She was about 5'1" and weighed somewhere between 112 to 115 pounds. She had short, reddish-brown hair and a very unique gap in her front teeth. Her cause of death was ruled as asphyxiation. She had a discolored place on her head that suggested some kind of blunt force trauma, likely rendering her unconscious. The medical examiner and police theorized that the victim had been knocked out cold, then wrapped up in this tarp. She had been buried alive and left to slowly suffocate inside this covering, which is absolutely horrific.
Yeah, I think
what a way to die.
Obviously being strangled would be so scary and terrifying because it's not quick, or being covered with something and suffocating. It's just as horrible sounding
My
to me.
claustrophobia. Oh, this was too much for me to think about.
I'll be watching movies, like action movies or whatever, and in recent years they've gotten to this thing where they will take even just regular saran wrap from behind someone and wrap it. You get the couple over and they just keep wrapping it, and that would be, and you're tied up or whatever, that would be the most terrifying thing in the world.
Absolutely torturous. I do not like. I'm very claustrophobic, and I do not like anything on my face. I don't like a face covering. I don't want to wear an oxygen mask. Like, I don't want anything
No money shots.
on my face. Well, I mean, how much money are we talking about?
Yeah.
We talking about like a couple grand?
That's right. Did you get that?
I may be open. I may be open, fellas.
Okay.
Tell me. Okay, so she'd been in this field for an estimated 2 to 3 weeks. And I just feel so terrible for this victim because I think that's a fucking horrible way to go. It just seems like a very cruel death.
Yeah, very. And so in this environment, wrapped up like this in something like a tarp, I have to imagine her body, her remains were in a very advanced decomposition.
Since she was yes, Dylan, we
Damn.
understand what you're trying to say.
I want to use my words today. Jeez.
We believe it. You can do it. Put your back into it. Since she was a Jane Doe and was found in such a horrific condition, people started calling her Tent Girl.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's not the most tasteful nickname or moniker.
Well, I got to say, when these monikers or nicknames or whatever you call them happen in these stories, it's usually organic for some reason. It happens and it just sticks. And but I don't know. There's something about Tent Girl that just seems inappropriate.
Well, it's 1968, Dylan, and they're not exactly known for political correctness back then.
So, I mean, did they discard Tarp Lady and stuck with Tent Girl?
Maybe Tent Girl sounded more playful. Like, I don't know. Tarp Lady, that sounds
official.
It does.
Right?
A little bit more official. So investigators tried their best to learn the identity of the deceased woman. They took a look at local missing persons cases, but none matched their victim. A few missing persons cases in Pennsylvania and Maryland caught their attention. A police sketch was sent out with a few details about her physical appearance or what they could, kind of tell about her physical appearance. Initially, there had been suggestions that Tent Girl might be a missing Maryland girl named Doris Ditmar, who disappeared from Pasadena, Maryland. Now, Doris's mother, seeing the sketch, contacted law enforcement. She thought the drawing looked a lot like her daughter. A hair sample was taken to the FBI for testing to see, I guess, if it matched the hair sample from the victim. I don't know how they had a hair sample, maybe from her brush that she left behind or whatever. Sophomore Doris had walked out of Northeast High School 2 months earlier and then vanished. Soon after, Doris Ditmar was found living with a boyfriend, David Schweitzer, in Pennsylvania. Turns out Doris had gotten into a blue Chevy Corsair on the day of her disappearance, driven by her boyfriend and his older brother, Howard. The young couple had run away together with the aid of David's older brother. So we have one of those like Romeo and Juliet romances, right? Law enforcement returned the young couple back to their families. Doris's parents did not press charges against David because Doris had been in love with him and told her parents, I just wanted to be with him.
Right.
But the situation brought disgrace to the Ditmar family. In a news article printed by the Knoxville News Sentinel, Doris's mother said, quote, "I'm not glad she's back. I wish she were dead."
Oh, God.
I mean, that's a pretty crazy statement to make, but back then, I guess people seemed a lot more concerned with what others thought about them and, your standing in the community.
Yeah, it was a way bigger deal, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess a scandal could get your family blackballed.
What's the kind of thing the community 10 years later would still be talking about? You're known as the mom of that girl who ran off, And at the end of the day, it's not really anyone else's business.
Well, I mean, I think today we still experience a bit of this, but I do think for the most part, most of us anyway, kind of don't give a damn. I don't care what you think. We have adopted more of this attitude of I don't give a damn what you think about me or my family. And also, when you do have kids that are troubled or problem kids, people don't always immediately blame the parents like it's your fault that your kid has run off with this boy. People seem to be a little bit more sympathetic to the parent situation.
Yeah, and the bar's much higher nowadays, right? Back then, it was like even the smallest thing was like a big deal, and people would gossip about it. But now you got to do something pretty monumental for people to
Well, I
really
mean, running
remember.
off with a boy, you're unwed. It implies premarital sex, promiscuity. I mean, there's so much more, I guess, taboo that would be attached to that in 1968 than in 2025.
Well, yeah, and like you said, it in many people's eyes, it would reflect on your bad parents. The family's not good, or something like that, right?
Yeah. Now, before Doris was discovered, a news report stated that she had likely been killed by her boyfriend and buried in the woods. So police were kind of going on that theory. But then, here she's found. That goes away. But again, it's so, I guess, easy to see how these rumors start because she's run off with her boyfriend and immediately it's, well, her boyfriend killed her and buried her in the woods.
Right.
Just blaming this innocent young man who did not kill her, but probably just took her out and showed her a good time.
He tried to get to second base
with his penis. Now, with that lead evaporating, investigators continued trying to identify Tent Girl. Another body had been found on March 16th of 1968 in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, which is about an hour outside of Philadelphia. The victim, 16-year-old Candace Clothier, had left her home on Saturday, March 9th of 1968 to visit her boyfriend who worked at a gas station. Clothier was described as shy and studious, an excellent student at Lincoln High School. So, again, we've got this young woman. I mean, she seems like she's a really good student, good kid, not one to run off, whatever, and she just vanishes. Clothier never made it to that gas station in Mayfair to visit her boyfriend.
Oh.
So somewhere between leaving the house and the gas station, she vanishes.
That's what's crazy is it can happen so quickly.
Yes.
Right? I mean, we've done stories where someone's walked away or walked to the corner store. I believe we did one about a little girl who walked to a corner store just a block or two from her house and disappeared. And it's like you never know when something like that could happen.
Absolutely. I mean, I believe maybe that was the Peaches short case out of Tennessee.
Right.
She walked just around the corner to a store.
Everybody
had done
knows
it every
her.
time people saw her going, coming, whatever, and then just up and vanishes.
It's crazy.
It's very scary, and especially when we're talking about kids and young people, just going missing like that. I mean, with adults, I think there's more speculation that they went off to start a new life or whatever. But with young people, and kids, it's usually not the case.
Well, with adults, many times in the beginning, especially, people think it's something either they wanted to do or something they got themselves into that kind of caused it,
Well, I know what you mean.
But I know there's...
I mean, not blaming the victim, but sometimes you put yourself in a high-risk situation.
Right.
That maybe otherwise this certain thing, violence or whatever, wouldn't have happened to you had you not been in this kind of situation.
Yeah, and that's
not to blame the victim. It's just when any of us put ourselves in a dangerous, high-risk situation, that is just could be a consequence of our action, right?
Well, yeah, and that's certainly not victim blaming, like you said, but it's just pattern recognition, right? Like, if I could look up 30 stories of serial killers hunting people that worked at a paper mill, it would make me think twice about working at a paper mill. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's not a terrible thing.
So you're saying if a serial killer preyed on paper mill workers?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I know that's a dumb comparison, but I'm just saying. So if there's an occupation known to draw violence, all these...
Sex work is a good example of that. And
Right.
not to shame sex workers, but you are putting yourself in a very dangerous situation, getting into vehicles with strangers, people you don't know. I mean, that's very, very, very risky.
Yeah, and that's a sad reality is even on a good day, you are putting yourself in vulnerable positions, right?
Yeah.
That's why I think that's one of the reasons I would advocate for legalized sex work.
In brothels.
In brothels, controlled settings, it's better for not only the sex worker, it's also better for the Johns.
But think of the children.
The tricks or the customers, if you will. because they can be exploited, robbed, beat as well. Because not every John's a dick. You know, some of them are okay guys, I guess, right?
Well, I don't know. I've never been a sex worker. But again, per our earlier conversation, how much are you offering? Because in this economy, a girl's got to have options.
It's true, and it's tax-free.
For the most part, yeah.
Yeah, and you can swap your card.
Except somebody going to be taxing that ass. Okay, sorry. Let's move along. This is inappropriate. Candace's family suffered greatly over her disappearance. On April 13th, 5 weeks later, a fisherman made a gruesome discovery. A body was found south of Worthington Mill Road in the Nashamini Creek, which is located in Bucks County. Clothier had been stuffed into a duffel bag and dumped from the Chain Bridge on Route 232. Her body was so badly decomposed, the medical examiner was unable to determine her cause of death. The only piece of physical evidence police had was the black canvas bag used to discard Candace's body. Candace Clothier's case grew cold. So there was some comparison at this point when law enforcement have Tent Girl, and then they're looking back, we have someone else stuffed in a duffel bag. Can't really determine the cause of death, young woman. There was the question of, do we have a serial killer? Possibly.
Right. Because there are some similarities between the two.
But, you know, they never really were able to make a connection between the two cases. In 2005, NBC 10 featured a story about the unsolved murder of Candace Clothier. A woman named Ida Pickup had been a classmate of Candace's, and she came forward with a strange piece of information. She claimed the black bag had belonged to her. Describing it as a black laundry bag, Pickup remembered her husband asking to borrow it. She was convinced her husband had helped two men dispose of Clothier's body. After following up on the lead, investigators were able to kind of determine more about what happened to Candace. On the night she disappeared, Candace had caught a ride with two men who lived in her neighborhood. The men allegedly injected Candace with a drug against her will. She overdosed and died. And the men panicked and dumped her body off this bridge.
Okay.
Now, according to law enforcement, the men were dead, therefore no formal charges were brought, and their names have not been released to the public. But these were two men who lived in her neighborhood, who knew her and knew her family.
Well, that sounds like a very terrible thing to do to someone.
Why would you just, inject someone with drugs against their will?
I don't know.
Like, hey, you need a ride, but first let me inject you with some heroin. I mean, that doesn't make sense.
No.
Unless they were trying to do something.
Try to exploit her in some way, maybe get her in some kind of a
right
drug-addled state to where she's more pliable or compliant.
I mean, that's my thought, but I could be wrong.
Well, unfortunately, they're dead, and maybe they couldn't prove it 100% is why they didn't release their information even after their death. So, yeah, I don't know. That's weird.
42 years after Candace's death, her case was finally closed. Although it was not the justice her family wanted, they at least found closure in this new information about, what had possibly happened to her. Despite their efforts, investigators were unable to identify Tent Girl, and eventually the case cooled. The police sketch had garnered attention and tips from different families of missing women and girls, but nothing had panned out. It's kind of an odd thing to consider that a victim's identity can go unknown for so long. I mean, especially in our modern times in 2025, we have all these modern forensics and this global connection. But in 1968, things were quite different. Law enforcement agencies had no way of communicating or sharing information like we do today. So if a person lived in a different state or even a different part of the state, it might be hard to connect the dots that in the western part of the state, you have a young woman missing and then we find her body in the eastern part of the state.
Right.
They might not even be able to access missing persons reports from another county, another region, and especially outside of the state.
Yeah. I mean, it literally used to, you could go a town over and people don't know you, right? and then it was a county over, and then a state over, and then it was, to another part of the country. But I think sometimes if we take a step back and see how much things have advanced, that there are good things about our connected culture and things. People seem to always talk about the negatives, but literally in 1 second, you can spread information about a victim or a suspect all around the entire world.
Yeah.
And that's really crazy to think about.
Well, I mean, we've seen it in real time. Missing persons cases, maybe like a young, like a teenage girl might go missing, and then her information is circulated. It gets picked up. It goes viral, and they're able to find her in a couple of days and bring her home.
Just like an Amber or Silver Alert.
Yeah.
And just a heartbeat, you can have basically a bunch of investigators, nationwide on the lookout, not just a bolo issued to law enforcement or local police, but everyone on the road, and a lot of time looking for a vehicle with a tag number, whatever. And a lot of times that results in a very quick, the vehicle spotted and stopped very quickly, and then that's pretty amazing.
Yeah, we had a case, and honestly, I can't remember now; it escapes me. But someone had seen a vehicle parked at a rest area, looked suspicious. They'd heard a report on the radio of a similar vehicle, called in, and the police were able to come and make an arrest, and it was their suspect.
Nice.
Yeah, we discussed this. It's been a minute ago, but I can't remember the case. But just having, I guess, these, internet sleuths and just regular folks paying attention, they often help.
Hey, these internet sleuths, I got to say, because you're accessing the talent of people, and some people have very weird niche talents that come into such, or that are pivotal. I'm trying to say that are very important.
I know what you mean. Pivotal.
But they'll do things like analyze the stars in a picture on the internet, or that someone has sent someone, and tell like
where that constellation would be located at that time.
Yeah. Or analyze the plants and the indigenous plants and trees and things, and what state they are in, and what time of year it was, and things like. I mean, it's just crazy.
It's amazing.
It is amazing.
It's really amazing.
And that's one of the reasons Heather has told me, and I think she's right, that we don't have these prolific serial killers nowadays. They're just not able to
get away with
kill
shit.
40 or 50 people and get away with it. The cameras are everywhere. And you don't realize how many times you're recorded just, walking through your neighborhood or driving through your neighborhood.
God, they're recording me, and people are probably like, what is that, like, hobbit, like gremlin hobbit doing out of her cave? Because I'm like, bro, I've I don't even think I brushed my hair today. This is like, it's 8 o'clock at night.
And you walked the dog.
Yeah, and I just threw on, like, I didn't have on a bra. Got on, like, mismatched sweatpants.
They're like
whatever.
Why's that homeless lady got that dog for?
Just a bunch of layers.
Yeah.
Rufus looks cute. He's in his, like, little sweater and all adorable, but then I'm, like, schlepping along like a creature. It's winter. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Hate it. I just need, like, a permanent, like, little hat on my head. It's so cold out. My little ears get so cold.
We should go to work at 2 a.m.
I need like a little Sherpa hat or something.
And work outside.
Blind.
I need attendants that can do things for me.
Whatever, man. You're always like, I'm so warm and toasty when I'm at work because I'm in my little switcher and it's all heated.
Well, you have to have gear. And anyone out there, man or woman, young or old, if you are working outside and you're miserable, invest in proper gear. It costs a little money. It is worth every dime.
I know you layer up and go to work and you look like the kid from the Christmas Story.
Yeah.
Like you can barely move.
I'm ready.
Like, how can you function in that? And you're like, I'm good.
That's down to performance underwear, right? High performance.
Yeah. Why do you always got to bring up your drawers?
Well, I'm just saying that's how it's down to the socks and underwear. It's all important.
You always want to redirect the conversation to your penis.
That is not true. That is not true.
Sometimes
it's just it's a
women
natural.
mostly listen to true crime, Dylan. So I mean, there's a lot of females out there listening in right now, and they probably don't care about your performance underwear.
High performance.
They've probably got some like crusty old man at home that they have to wash his underwear. They don't care.
Well, get him.
They know all about you guys.
Get him some synthetic high performance underwear.
Make sure it's polyester.
It clings to stuff less. You know what I'm saying? Like grossness. Anyway, you're the one to start talking about my penis.
Yeah,
God.
because you always redirect the conversation to your dick.
Oh, now it's a dick.
Well, I don't know what you want to call that little thing, but anyway, let's move on. With little to go on, investigators decided to focus on the few things they did have. For example, the tarp. They were able to determine that the tarp was used to store carnival tents.
Okay, so it was a specific kind of tarp.
Yes.
Right? Okay, that's interesting.
It is very interesting, and carnival tents of all things.
Right.
Odd. They tried to check different carnivals and circuses who had been traveling in the area, but didn't really get a whole lot out of this lead. Also, Dylan, I feel like you don't see as many carnivals out and about or circuses in today's world.
That's true.
We're really missing out.
Well, you know, most of the circuses left are all humans, consenting humans. You know, the animal circuses have went the way of the dinosaurs, which I think they should. As much fun as I can remember about seeing these, you know, kind of exotic animals doing these, what I, you know, as a kid was cute tricks. You know, as an adult, I realized they're, you know, crammed into, you know, cars and vans and hauled around. And this certainly isn't a way, especially large animals, should be living and being exploited. But, you know, I hear some of those circuses now are very, very fun, very entertaining. You know, you get a lot of like contortionists and trapeze and all that stuff.
Yeah, the other day I was doing a bit of Christmas shopping and stumbled upon a circus. They had their tent set up in a parking lot at the shopping area. And I was like, okay, interesting. A paranormal circus.
Ooh.
And I don't know what that entails, but I wish we had been able to go. But the day I was there, I guess was like the last day that they had it or whatever. And we wouldn't have been able to go.
Well,
just
and
with our schedules.
Yeah, that would have been awesome. And it's like everything else, you know, the cost is so prohibitive today. I remember, you know, county fair. My mom didn't drop $300 or $400 for me to go to the county fair. You know,
No.
She would always, you know, they do the early ticket sales, half off ticket sales, usually in areas. She would get a mess of those, and you know, and
Yeah, I mean, I remember my parents dropping like $10 for some tickets.
Yeah.
And you could go ride some rides.
Yeah.
And that was about it. Right?
Yeah,
Back in the day.
yeah, and one ride wouldn't be like 8 tickets. You know what I mean? It'd be 1 or 2 tickets. You know, you had 20 or 30 tickets. You could do enough. Get one snack
Go
or
get
whatever.
on a rickety ride and
play a handful of games
put your
for
life
a
into
few-
your own hands.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just the movies, fairs, anything you go, amusement parks,
Concerts are crazy.
I shouldn't have to drop $1,000 to go see some band from 20 years ago.
Look, I'm going to just brag because I got to check off a bucket list item last week. I got to see Stevie Nicks live, which is like a dream for me,
Right.
you know? And I happened to catch a ticket on StubHub for what I felt like was a reasonable price, especially in comparison to the other tickets. It was still a lot for a ticket. Like, it's more than I normally would pay for, like, the two of us to go to a concert, right?
Right.
I mean, it was I thought it was an expensive ticket. But in comparison to these other tickets, people were asking, like, $1,200 for a ticket.
That's crazy.
And not even, like, good seats. I mean,
And-
we're not talking, like, front row.
That's not front row center.
No. Actually, some of the seats, I'm like, that's kind of a shitty seat. Like,
bad
I wouldn't
angle.
want to, yeah.
Right.
Like, I wouldn't want to sit there. $1,200? That's nuts. And I know recently you were telling me some, like, CEO of Ticketmaster was in an interview saying, well, we should be charging more for these concerts.
Yeah.
And I'm like, who's going to pay to go see a concert when you're already charging me an arm and a leg? I'm not paying hundreds of dollars to go see a concert.
Well, no, and
Nope.
it's the same thing. You have very few venues left that are owned by a family or an individual,
No, I mean, it's definitely a monopoly
and it's the same
with
thing.
Ticketmaster, Live Nation, whatever.
Yeah, I expect to pay a few, you know, overpay for refreshments and stuff.
Yeah, I enjoy that $32 beer.
But when you go and you're like, how am I even, what?
Dude, you went, like, one of the last times we went to a show, you went to get us a snack or something, and you came back with an order of fries, and it was like a single order of fries.
Yeah.
Like $20.
It was $18.
Yeah.
And they didn't even, there were no specialty sauces made in house or nothing like that. There's like a condiment stand. It looked like somebody had pissed on it. I mean, out in the middle. It was disgusting. The fries were just some frozen, crappy fries, not even Orada. I mean, I could do better at Food Line, And I was like, what?
Yeah, when you told me, you were like, these fries were almost $20. I'm like, what?
It's insane.
Why is everything so expensive and stupid today?
Such a cash grab, and they really ruined the experience. I saw someone just yesterday talking about going to the movies.
Here we are ranting, but...
Yeah, we'll get back to it. Sorry. But the movie experience, it's dead. It's ruined. You have other patrons who are rude. You have people who don't
never shut the fuck up throughout the whole movie. They talk on their phone the whole goddamn time. It drives me fucking crazy.
You're going to fight somebody that's sitting in the seat that's on your ticket?
They bring their toddler and let their kids like run around the theater while people are trying to watch the movie.
Yeah.
That is the thing I don't understand. I'm like, what are you people on?
Why did you even come here?
Why do you bring a 2-year-old to a movie and then just let them run wild up and down the aisle, and then the kid gets hurt because it falls down the stairs in the dark and is crying, and mom and dad never bother to take the kid outside the theater and let people enjoy the movie? I mean, it's a lot. And
you're going to sit there. You're already a 2-hour plus movie for some reason. And then you're going to sit there 30 minutes of shitty commercials that are terrible.
Like a Verizon commercial. It's not even a movie trailer.
Or a commercial for the theater that you're already fucking sitting in.
Yeah.
Like, you don't need to advertise to me. I'm already here. This is the theater near my house. That's how it works.
Yes.
And then trailers and, we can literally go 40 minutes nearly after showtime, 35, 40 minutes, and the movie's not started.
Yeah.
And that is insane.
It is nuts.
And then prices and concessions are just crazy. And people are just like, screw it, I'm not going to do it. And they're like, anyway.
Well, yeah,
ridiculous.
I can make myself some microwave popcorn here at the house.
Yeah.
For what, like $1 a bag?
Yeah.
Instead of paying you $35 for your large popcorn.
And when I go in my living room and sit on my couch, there's no one sitting in my seat.
There's not there's not a 2-year-old running around screaming. Okay, enough. We've bitched enough, Dylan. Coming soon in 2026, Heather and Dylan Bitch About Everything, our new podcast. Okay, so investigators decide that they're going to send the burp cloth, the rope, and the tarp to the FBI, hoping that the FBI lab is going to have better luck examining these items, tracing these items. So all of these items, except for the burp cloth, were reportedly commercial grade, although somebody should invent a commercial grade burp cloth.
Yeah, you need that.
Because babies be spitting up. And widely distributed nationally. So tracking down a specific place where the tarp came from or the rope came from was nearly impossible.
And that makes sense.
3 years passed. The case had gone very cold at that point. Tent Girl was finally given a proper burial in Georgetown Cemetery in 1971. Her tombstone was paid for by a local company, and the headstone read, Tent Girl found May 17th, 1968 on U.S. Highway 25 North, died April 26th through May 3rd of 1968, age 16 to 19, 5'1" weight, 110 to 115 pounds.
Look, that was noble.
They're trying, Dylan.
What the community did, but as you were saying that, I thought to myself, are they just going to put this young woman, this poor soul, or Tent Girl on her tombstone? Now, I'll be damned if they didn't lead with Tent Girl.
They led with
How about Jane Doe?
Yeah.
I mean, what are we doing here?
The people of Georgetown didn't forget about the Jane Doe. Many visited her graveside. They would leave flowers and light candles in her remembrance. Tent Girl became somewhat of an urban legend in the area. One of those stories that everybody kind of passed down. Everyone knew.
Right.
Of Tent Girl. People were really invested in the case, the mystery of Tent Girl.
Now, I have to say it is nice that sometimes these victims will have nobody that cares. And it seems that this poor young lady or this poor lady had a whole community that cared.
Yeah, definitely.
that what happened to her and the circumstances and everything. So that's nice.
Over the years, Wilbur Riddle had never forgotten about the body he had discovered. 20 years had passed, and Tent Girl still didn't have her name. Riddle felt terrible knowing that a family somewhere was missing their child, sister, mother, or friend. Surely the young woman had loved ones out there seeking answers. Like, he just couldn't shake this feeling. Lori Riddle, Wilbur's 17-year-old daughter, invited some friends to the family home on Halloween night, 1987. Lori told her friends the haunting story of how her father had found Tent Girl, and the case was never solved. So a boy who was a part of the friend group happened to be at this Halloween celebration. His name was Todd Matthews. He was deeply troubled by the story. Again, he just couldn't shake the fact that this young woman had disappeared, then died, and that no one knew her name. Like others, Matthews felt surely she had family somewhere seeking answers. Todd had experienced loss as well. His brother and sister passed away as infants. Todd, though young himself, pledged that he was going to do whatever possible to identify Tent Girl. Todd had also dealt with some health problems as a child, undergoing open heart surgery when he was just 8 years old. Todd had always been described as like tender-hearted. He didn't like to see other kids bullied, especially if it was something they couldn't help, like if kids showed up to school and they were dirty or had on ragged clothes. He would always defend them against bullies. In Todd's opinion, everyone deserved to be treated with respect and kindness.
And I agree.
Lori and Todd actually ended up getting married while they were still quite young. Todd took a job working at a factory during the day, but in his spare time, he became obsessed with true crime. His hobby was tracking down any information he could find on Tent Girl. Todd was going to crack the case. I mean, this guy was determined, Dylan. Todd began spending hours and hours working on the cold case. And you got to think about this. He's not a cop. He has no experience. He's not a seasoned investigator. He's basically starting from scratch, but he could not let this go. Finding this young woman's identity was paramount. Todd spent so much time on the case that it actually started causing problems in his marriage to Lori.
Oh, gosh.
Lori felt like her father had encouraged Todd's obsession and that it had just gotten completely out of control. He seemed to spend every free moment working on the case. The couple even had a brief separation because of his obsession.
And that's the thing about obsession. Even if it's for a good cause or your heart's in the right place, you have to be careful and to not let something like that affect relationships, friendships, your health, even depending on if you're not sleeping, you're not, whatever. It can get out of control.
Well, and it's understandable that, maybe she was feeling this way. Marriage can be difficult when your partner is not obsessed with a cold case, right? But imagine your spouse devotes this much time and effort into something. I mean, it could be anything.
And I'm sure a lot of our listeners have dealt with this because they're obsessed with mountain murders.
Yeah.
And we ask you to not let this...
Don't let it tear your family apart.
Incredible, underrated, long-time podcast come between you and your loved ones.
Yeah.
Okay?
I don't want your husband sitting around the Christmas dinner table saying, "Mountain murders, Dylan is tearing this family apart."
He doesn't want to hear my voice.
Mm-mm.
And it's okay. I'm sorry that your partner is obsessed.
You send your kids away when you want to listen to the episodes because there's going to be F-bombs.
Yeah.
And so now your kids are like, "Mom, you're neglecting me."
Your kid's like, "Fuck, I heard it on Mountain Murders."
"Mama, why is Daddy locked in the garage with his phone listening to a podcast?"
Oh.
Yeah. All right. So, I mean, if your spouse devotes this much time to anything, I mean, whether it's like hunting, fishing, whatever, I mean, after a while, the spouse is going to feel left out, resentful. What about me?
And honestly,
Pay attention to me. I'm your wife. I'm flesh and blood. I'm right here.
That's a natural reaction,
Stop investigating this cult case.
Right.
Yeah. For years, Todd worked on this case, and by the time the internet became mainstream, he was really able to access a wealth of information which would be helpful to solving the case, or at least learning this woman's name.
Well, say I'm kind of curious. Like, I appreciate what he's doing, but like, what is he doing that for that amount of time?
I think he's like writing letters to different like police departments. He's sending out flyers, asking for missing persons case information on missing persons cases. Like
Always
just
talking
trying
about
to,
it.
Like
Yeah.
find a link somewhere. Yeah. Todd created a website in 1997, and guess what it was called?
FindTintGirl.com.
It's just called tintgirl.com.
Damn it.
Now, over the years, not only did Todd spend time on the case, but money too. He estimated spending thousands of dollars out of pocket. Corresponding, mailing, faxing, making copies. I mean, after a while, that adds up.
Flying in experts.
When the tintgirl.com website didn't really bring in any fresh or useful tips, he began focusing on missing persons websites. He would read forums, postings, and everything related to missing persons cases. And in January of 1998, Todd finally found what he needed. I
Really?
was trying to say Todd and finally at the same time. So Todd Lee found what he needed.
How did her identity?
Well, I'm about to tell you, Dylan. Buckle up. A post read, quote, "My sister Barbara has been missing from our family since the latter part of 1967. She had brown hair, brown eyes, and is about 5 foot 2 inches tall, or 5 feet 2 inches tall, and was last seen in the Lexington, Kentucky area. Nearly 30 years later, Todd felt he had stumbled upon gold."
Wow.
Rosemary Westbrook had written the post. Rosemary lived in Benton Springs, Arkansas. Her sister, Barbara Ann Hackman Taylor, known as Bobby, had been living in Florida. Todd he ended up contacting Rosemary, and they went over the details of the case. Initially he was really not like trying to get his hopes up because, again, he spent years and years trying to find a break in this case.
Yeah, and I'm sure he's had this
Some disappointments. Yes.
Right, this eureka moment probably a million times. I mean, if he's down to this level of just reading random posts that people are putting up about missing loved ones, he's probably read thousands and thousands of them, and that's not that uncommon of a description, right?
Yeah.
5'2", brown hair, brown eyes. I mean, a lot of people fit that description.
Are you saying that that's kind of odd to go reading through thousands of missing persons descriptions?
No, I'm not saying that's odd, but I guess
because that's kind of one of my hobbies.
Well, I'm not saying it's odd, but I can see, I guess, where he was investing his time because he's digging through such a wealth of information and just, I mean, gosh.
Barbara's description matched that of Tint Girl. Since Rosemary hadn't heard from her sister since late 1967, this timeline matched up. Rosemary eventually was able to get the Kentucky Medical Examiner's Office to take another look at her sister's case or at this Jane Doe case and do further testing. They ended up exhuming Tint Girl's body. Rosemary had given up DNA, so using bones and teeth from the decedent, they were finally able to determine that Tint Girl was indeed Barbara or Bobby.
That's amazing.
It is. So I told you there's a bit of a silver lining in all this.
Yeah, I mean, given what he's dealt with, his obsession causing him issues between his wife and him and all that, money, to finally identify her, I'm sure it made him feel validated maybe in all the effort he had done. But it seems that this really was the purpose the whole time, right?
Well, it doesn't stop there. We're going to talk more about Todd. I mean, he sounds like a really amazing person. So moving along here, Barbara had been living in Lexington at the time of her death with a husband and infant daughter. She was only 24 years old. On April 25th of 1998, Scott County held a funeral service for Barbara Hackman Taylor in the Georgetown Cemetery. 60 mourners came along with Barbara's 3 sisters. Barbara's daughter was an adult with children of her own at this point. And so she attends the funeral as well. Many of the attendees did not know Barbara personally, but had felt touched by her story. Because again, people in this area, I mean, this was like something they grew up with. A lot of people wanted to see this solved.
What about
she had
her?
Not been forgotten.
What about her man? Did he?
We're going to get into that, Dylan. So now that Bobby was given her name back, investigators began looking into the cold case once more. Now, eventually, Bobby's husband, George Earl Taylor, was considered the prime suspect in her murder. Earl was a carny. He was a carnival worker.
Oh, my God.
He never reported Bobby missing. Instead, he told her family that she had left town with another man.
Dude, this guy looks really good for this.
Unfortunately, Earl Taylor died of cancer in 1987. He was never formally charged with his wife's murder. Barbara's son, George Jr., known as Sonny, passed away at the age of 19 in 1984 after being hit by a drunk driver in Ohio. Which was really sad.
Tragic.
Now, Barbara was born September 12th of 1943 in East St. Louis, Illinois. She was one of 9 siblings. It's a lot of kids.
Yeah.
Tragedy struck when her mother's husband and 6-year-old son and a newborn baby died in a devastating flood that hit the area. Bobby's mother, Louise, still had children to take care of, but she just couldn't do it. I mean, she was not able to care for, at that point, 7 kids or 6 kids. She just couldn't, she didn't have the financial means.
So she lost her husband and 2 kids in the flood?
Yes.
Wow, that's so terrible.
Bobby was 14 years older than her sister Rosemary. Rosemary was sent to live with an aunt and uncle. Despite this, Rosemary kept in touch with her other siblings. Bobby would visit, and the sisters were able to spend some weekends together. Bobby was considered quite beautiful, and she was a very beautiful woman. We'll post some pictures of her on Patreon and on our Instagram. Very, very beautiful young woman. Eventually, she caught the attention of Earl Taylor. At the time, he had a 2-year-old daughter named Bonnie. Earl needed someone to take care of Bonnie. He was a single dad, and Bobby was introduced to him as a potential babysitter. So that's kind of how they met. Now, eventually the pair married, and although he had a child, Earl was young himself, but he was only 5 years older than Bobby. Earl worked full-time at the carnival. Bobby went to work at the carnival as well. Earl operated 18-wheeler trucks, which moved the equipment around. So they were carnies, which I guess is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Traveling from town to town.
I've always thought it was maybe an interesting career.
Well, I think you get a lot of... I guess, flack, or there's certain stereotypes about carnies.
Right.
Like they're a bit of rough trade or something.
Well, I think it's certainly...
everybody looks like Joe Dirt.
Well, it's I think especially even today, like if you go to a carnival, they seem to kind of have a I don't know how to describe it, but like an edge to. I mean, they seem like there's still kind of something to that carny folklore. People that move around, they come and go. In the carnival, the workers.
But at the end of the day, I mean, it really is kind of cool if you think about it.
Well, yeah, you go all over.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it has its pros and cons.
I mean, and it's kind of like work, but you also are kind of just like being a big kid. There's games and prizes and carnival food and rides, and you're sort of like always around merriment.
Oh, and what's interesting about it compared to some other traveling work is you're automatically immersed in the community of everywhere that you go by. Because the community comes to you. So you get to see all different types of people and how they are, how they act. I bet that's kind of wild. Great people watching.
The work was steady, but it did involve moving around all the time. I mean, the couple rarely had, I guess, free time when they were actually able to like be in one place and have a home. But they eventually did settle in Miami. Bobby kept in regular touch with her family, though there might be a couple of days or even weeks between the communications. She always wrote letters or called eventually. Like, she always stayed in touch. Bobby and Earl had their own daughter, Michelle, during this time. The family knew something was up when Bobby stopped communicating, right? Because she's always kept in touch, and then she just all of a sudden quits writing, quits calling, and they just never hear from her again.
Oh my gosh.
Suddenly, it just stopped. And Bobby's mother knew they would never hear from her again. Like Louise said, I know, she's gone. And Rosemary was only 10 years old at the time. And she just like couldn't understand like what her mother meant, you know? Like, why is she saying we're just never going to hear from her again? Like, we don't know where she is.
Right.
She could be out there somewhere. But, you know, in her child brain, she thought like maybe Bobby had amnesia and forgot who she was temporarily.
Oh, that's...
You know, like she'll come back. She'll show up one day.
And you know, I think parents, especially mothers, it seems, are on a wavelength with their children. And you'll hear these moms and dads describe this waking up in the middle of the night or something, just knowing something bad has happened to their child. And I really believe that.
Yeah.
And that would be a terrible feeling.
This is a terrible feeling.
Especially if it comes to be true.
Bobby was working a fair in Lexington, Kentucky. That was her last known location. But, you know, Earl isn't missing. Like, he's still around. And at some point, Earl goes to Bobby's older sister, sharing his perspective that Bobby had just up and left town with another man.
Now, I'm surprised the investigators didn't look at recent carnivals or fairs having been in the area. Or maybe they did. But
well, they did. I mean, they were trying to find out like about this tarp.
Well, you said they went down the carnival
and they did,
connection,
yeah.
but it didn't really pan out.
Right.
It's hard to nail people down.
Well, yeah, because Earl's not like reporting her missing.
Right.
So, like, the other carnies don't know, and then she's apparently run off with somebody else. So
that's what they're
just
hearing.
They're not thinking of her as like a missing person.
Which is probably something that happens in a lifestyle like that, right? People come, they go.
A lot of transient folks.
For various reasons. I'm sure that you get a lot of traveling together like that and all these different places. You get a lot of intermingling amongst people. You know, some people fall out of love. They fall in love with someone else. So, yeah, I guess if they were to contact that carnival that was anywhere near, they'd be like, yeah, nothing weird happened with us. Everything's fine.
Well, when he, like, I guess calls Bobby's older sister or shows up and is, like, telling her this story about, well, she just run off with somebody else or whatever, she wasn't buying it.
Well, yeah, because even if she did, she still communicate with her friends and family.
Well, and Earl was shady. He was a known drug user and had a mean streak. And Bobby's family just did not buy his bullshit. They knew Earl had something to do with her disappearance. Bobby had confided in her mother and sisters that Earl was physically abusive. Bobby's sister Jan had gone to visit the couple once in Florida. Bobby and Earl had gotten into a fight. When Jan kind of like intervened in the argument, Earl picked her up and threw her out the door.
Oh, my God.
So we've got a domestic violence situation, and we know that Earl has a temper. Earl also would not share information about his ex, Bonnie's mother, the mother of his child. When Bobby or anyone else would ask what happened to Bonnie's mother, Earl would say, she ran off with another man.
Oh, God.
Much like the story he started telling Bobby's family. So it was the likelihood that, you know, two women are just going to run off and leave him.
Well, it sounds like it's a high likelihood because he sounds like an asshole.
But, you know.
But at the same time, now it sounds like he possibly murdered two different women.
Possibly.
Well, I think he definitely is good for this case. I mean, I don't even see how this, I guess technically they couldn't make a call, but I think it's definitely solved. I think he was definitely the person that killed her.
Well, after Bobby went missing, her family went to Lexington, Kentucky to search for her. The apartment where Bobby had been living with her husband and children kind of temporarily was above a restaurant. The landlord had no idea where they went. According to him, they had moved out like thieves in the night and left no forwarding information. Like he just came to the building one day.
And they were gone.
They're gone. The apartment's completely empty. He's received no word from them. And let's be honest, Earl probably skipped out on the rent because he sounds like a winner. Now, Bobby's family filed a missing persons report for her in Florida, where she had been living like full time. I don't know why they weren't allowed to file it in Kentucky, or if there was some issue there, but they ended up filing it in Florida, which I think also kind of added a layer of like, I guess, problem in accessing information in this case. You know what I mean? Like,
well, yeah, and we know that
like a bit of a roadblock in the investigation.
Yeah, and missing person cases are tough, and a lot of times they get treated a certain way. Especially, I'm sure if investigators hear she works for a carnival in that area, they may be very familiar with the carnival lifestyle. Florida is a very popular place for carnies and circus people to have an off season. And so if they do investigate it at all in Florida, they're not going to get anywhere, right?
Right.
And then that makes sense.
Well, and it seems like law enforcement in Florida were kind of viewing it as like the family has just lost contact with her.
Right.
You know what I mean? And law enforcement struggled to find much information on Bobby because of the nature of traveling carnivals. They're constantly on the move. And like you mentioned, Dylan, you've usually got a lot of transient types who work with the carnivals, and they're constantly kind of coming and going. So even the law enforcement in Florida were not really able to get much information.
Right.
Like even out of the other carnival workers because the turnover is so high.
Well, and I think it's a group that maybe might not be so keen
Forthcoming
on cooperating or talking to law enforcement.
Well, it does seem like they live a little on the fringe of society, or
And
and not to say that they don't cooperate with law enforcement, but it does seem like it's a bit of a fringe group, right?
Well, and that's not to say anything disparaging people who work for carnivals.
Somebody that works, there's a carnival worker right now who's going to write us a hate email and be like, "You two are pieces of shit."
No, it's an insular community.
Very cooperative citizen.
It's an insular community, and oftentimes they would be blamed for anything that happens around a town when they're near it, even though they're perfectly fine and haven't done anything. So I think that would over the years develop kind of a disdain for investigators. And then if you add in the bad apples and people who may use drugs or be running from some kind of criminal past,
or are like into underage girls or something.
Yeah, I mean,
I've heard those stories as well.
And those people are going to hide amongst all the hardworking regular folk who just enjoy this kind of free spirited lifestyle.
Exactly.
Wow, I had to clean that up. I don't want anybody.
I watched the 2 seasons of Carnival. I know how this works.
I don't want to come out my door and there's a strong man talking about, "Come here."
And he's like in his little leopard print
leotard,
the little thing that they wear.
Yeah.
What is that thing called? It's got a name.
I don't know. But he's got the big dumbbells, the round dumbbells.
Yeah. I imagine they're inflatable and he just starts hitting you with them.
Dude, there's like real ones of those that are like hundreds of pounds. And these real strong men.
You were telling me.
These days, well, it's like a grip test because it's just odd and it's like slick. And if you can pick this barbell up, you're like in the upper echelon of strength.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. I just remember Michael Chiklis was the strong man in the American Horror Story Freak Show.
Yeah, I think, dude.
He looks like a strong man.
The old school
like
strong.
What you would imagine this old school strong man to look like, right? He's got the bald head, the big barrel chest.
That whole season, possibly the best season of American Horror Story, in my opinion.
A lot of people didn't like it or kind of got panned, and I thought it was well done.
I liked it.
I enjoyed it.
Many people got turned off when the clown got killed because that was kind of a really scary part of the storyline. I was disappointed as well. But I think Freak Show is the best season of American Horror Story, personally.
It was disturbing.
Right.
Like, there was a lot to that season that was just kind of fucked up.
Well, that, and I know a lot. Me and you both know a lot about the history of these old-timey carnivals and shows. They really were just like that.
Yeah, I recommend watching Todd Browning's Freaks. If you've never seen it.
One of us.
Your mom loves that. Now, by 1995, years had passed. Rosemary was a grown woman. She was a mother on her own. She couldn't shake not knowing what had happened to her sister. So Rosemary started posting online in these different forums about Bobby's case. She started like a bit of a scrapbook. She had saved newspaper clippings, any emails, information that was pertinent to Bobby's disappearance, and the rest is history. Now, fortunately, Bobby's daughter, Michelle, was able to reconnect with her mother's family once Todd connects the dots here for the family.
Right.
Which is great. So that's a good part of the case, is that she was able to connect with her mother's family and get to know like this whole side of the family, that she had not known growing up. So now her family has some answers and a pretty solid idea of what happened to her. I mean, it was not exactly maybe the closure they had hoped for, maybe not getting justice in the case. But at the end of the day, Barbara gets her name back,
Yeah,
which is, I think it's really important.
well, yeah, it's one of the most important. No matter what else gets figured out, giving a victim their name and identity back, and giving their family some kind of closure or details on what happened to them. It's one of the most important components.
After aiding in the identification of Barbara, Todd did not stop his work. Instead, Todd created the Doe Network, an online database for volunteers to match missing persons cases with unidentified bodies.
What?
Yeah.
This
So
guy-
I said there was a silver lining here. Like, he really turned this obsession into a very positive, like, not only giving Barbara her name back, but has helped countless others crack these missing persons cases.
Yeah, the Doe Network has helped so many people and so many cases. You've had people reach out to you over the years connected to the Doe Network over some cases we've covered, and that something like that is it's a very important thing.
To date, the Doe Network has solved or assisted in over 130 missing persons cases. Volunteer internet sleuths connect details from databases, police reports, and DNA to identify individuals. I mean, these people are really out here doing the Lord's work for these families, and it is all volunteer.
And that's amazing. That's the bright side of the internet.
It really is. So, I mean, we don't have a conviction in this case. We don't know, like, why this happened to Barbara or to Bobby, but, at least now she's no longer just Tin Girl.
Now, to be fair, we don't know for a fact that Earl killed her, right?
Well, we don't.
It could have been someone else in the carnival that had access to these things, these industrial items, this tarp. He could very well believe in his heart that she ran off and doesn't know what happened to her.
It could have been the bearded lady. It could have been the lizard man. I mean, we don't know.
His previous wife could have very well ran off because he sounded like an abusive asshole of sorts. So, yeah, I guess I can't say with certainty that he was the person. But
we don't know, but we know.
We kind of know.
Yeah.
Because when you don't report your loved one missing, you don't reach out to her family, you don't do any of
These
those.
women keep just like running off and leaving you for other men.
You didn't care. At the very least, you didn't care about her.
You didn't even file a police report,
Yeah.
or like a missing persons report.
Well, and that's the part.
You're not trying to find her. You're not actively seeking her out, even though she's the mother of your children.
Right.
Like, what are you doing, bud?
Yeah. And she had a burping cloth with her. That sounds like a heat of the moment possible thing there. Something
Yeah,
happened.
there's something about that detail that is so very sad to me.
Right.
That in her final moments, she had been like caring for a baby.
Yeah. So I think Earl did it, but we don't know that for sure.
Well, wherever you are, Earl, fuck you. Nah, he sounds like a piece of shit.
He sounds like a piece of shit.
I mean, he was abusive, violent guy.
Yeah, and
she was a tiny woman, and here he's like beating her up.
throwing her sister around and shit.
Yeah, I mean, what the hell, dude?
Who does that? I don't understand.
Earl. Goodbye, Earl.
I think men have a right to defend themselves in any situation, but that's if, say, a woman is attacking them, trying to be physical. That does happen. We know that happens. But your defense needs to be just standing over a woman and beating her ass as hard, hitting her hard as you can. That just, I don't understand it. It just does not compute with me. I don't see the reason for it. I don't know what you're trying to prove. And the men who do that are some of the biggest pieces of shit known to mankind. In my mind, they're almost up there with rapists and murderers. It's such a terrible, horrible thing to do.
It's the same thing with people who beat their children.
And that's not to say that men are the only ones that can dispense out domestic abuse, just because it's not true. I've known of men who are, being attacked and abused by their woman.
Blink twice if you're okay, Dylan.
Nah.
Why you look like you're about to cry?
Well, because we're not recording it and it's only audio, so my Morse code's not going out.
Okay.
Nobody can see.
Shh.
Oh, okay.
Get back in your cage.
I'm sorry.
He likes it. Don't let him fool you.
All right. Well,
He's all bends over.
yeah.
He's like, yes, Punish me. I've been bad.
Punish me, baby. Okay, so thank you again to Carrie for supporting today's episode and supporting the show over there on the Patreon. Hope you enjoyed that. And what else, Heather?
Well,
Thank you, Heather.
We will have a fourth part of our West Memphis 3 series dropping hopefully this weekend. So in a few more days, we're going to get that out. We're really dissecting the case. There's a lot of information. And so we are kind of maybe slowly getting our work together for this, but it's because we're like really doing a deep dive.
And if you have not caught up, if you are a patron and have not caught up with part 3, I continue to be completely flabbergasted by the entire case. All authorities
and
involved.
We're only in part 3. Like there's not even been an arrest made yet.
Yeah, I know.
Like we're still early in the investigation with this. So.
It's crazy that no one stood up and said, wait a second, this doesn't seem right. The community played a part, in my opinion, of framing these kids and the gossip and all that. It's just crazy. It blows my mind that it went this bad from the beginning.
All right, Dylan, thank you for sitting down with me today to discuss Barbara Hackman Taylor's case. And we will be back. We're bringing back our recap. We promise we're going to be on a regular schedule with it. So we will have a recap out this week.
Yeah.
Our midweek.
That's right. We're going to get back to recap.
Dylan loves to crap and recap. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Bye.
Bye.